Hello students. Today I'll be explaining about respiratory system, circulatory system as well as nervous system of cockroach. Now respiratory system of cockroach, what are its components and what is the mechanism? How does it consume the air and how does it release the foul air? All that related to respiratory system you'll come to know now. So today I'll be explaining about the respiratory system of cockroach. So respiratory system of cockroach, what are the components? The three main components of respiratory system of cockroach. First one will be first one will be the sphericals. The second component of the respiratory system of cockroach will be trachea and tracheals. Trachea and tracheals. Third will be tracheals. So first I'll explain about the sphericals. What are the sphericals? Sphericals are the apertures or openings of the respiratory system. So here you can see this is the overall respiratory system of the cockroach, and sphericals will open here on the lateral part of the body. So what happens to the sphericals is the air will enter through these sphericals. That is how the air goes in through the sphericals. And then the foul air is released outside. Foul air is going to be released outside. So these are apertures or openings of the respiratory system in cockroach. First of all, you all should know that cockroach is an aerobic, so it does require oxygen. It does require oxygen. So sphericals are openings of respiratory system. In cockroach. So here openings are nothing but apertures. Now they are located on the lateral side of the body. So through these sphericals only oxygen enters the body, and the foul air that is containing CO2 that is going to leave the body through these sphericals or apertures. So these all are openings. So total of 10 sphericals will be present, 10 pairs of sphericals here. Okay. So number of sphericals present on lateral part of the body are 10 pairs or 20 in number total. Out of 10 pair, first 2 pairs will be present in thorax and remaining 8 pairs will be present in abdomen. So in this 2 pairs, that is 4 in number, in the thoracic region of the cockroach. Whereas the remaining ones, that is 8 pairs, that is 16 of them, they are going to be present in abdomen. When a detailed structure of spiracle is observed, so this becomes the detailed structure of spiracle. Here, this is where the air goes in. This is where the air goes in, oxygen, and the foul air is let out. The foul air is let out here. So this is where it enters. So through they open in the lateral part of the body. Now, structure of sphericals. Structure of sphericals include, it has a circular, more or less, it has an opening which is surrounded by a chitinous structure called peritreme. Here what happens, this opening will have a chitinous annular structure, chitinous ring-like structure here, that is called as peritreme. Now, inside it is guarded by bristles. So what you can see here, it is guarded by bristles. So these bristles' main function is that it acts as filter system. Filter system. Okay. Now, or a filter apparatus. You can tell it acts as a filter apparatus. It acts as a filter system also, you can tell a filter apparatus here, these bristles. Now what happens is, if the air entering has some particles, dust particles or larger than that, if particles are there, they'll be stopped by these bristles. So they prevent the entry of dust particles. Why we call it as filter system is, they prevent entry of dust particles. Then further, there is a presence of valve. Okay, so this is actually the valve here. Presence of valve, and there is a chamber here. This part, this whole chamber, after the opening, this chamber is called as the atrial chamber, bearing a valve. So when a valve is there, it means the opening and closing of sphericals is controlled by the sphincter muscles. It means that the sphincters are not static, but their closing and opening is regulated by the sphincters present in the sphericals. These sphincter muscles, these sphincters are made up of muscles that enable the sphericals to open or close. So this is about the structure of sphericals. Now spiracles lead to, that means once the atrium will end, it will lead to a structure called trachea, and because of which they say that presence of these tracheal structures, they are system of air tubes present in cockroach, and presence of this tracheal tube itself, network of these tracheal tubes, the cockroach is supposed to have tracheal system of respiration. So respiratory system of cockroach is the tracheal system. And of course, there are, as I already told, they have components like sphericals, trachea, and tracheals. Now, once the spiracle ends after the valve, what comes is there is a beginning of the system of air tubes called trachea. Compared to other smaller tubes, they are larger. Among the entire respiratory system, the one which are larger is this trachea. These are silver white, silvery white, you can tell, silvery white in color. They are elastic, and they are 3 pairs of elongated. That means in that these are nothing but elastic air tubes, air filled tubes, also called as air tubes. The tracheal system will, the bigger trachea are called as tracheal trunk. The bigger trachea are called as the tracheal trunk. So here what happens, these are main tracheal trunk are supposed to be 6 in number. So you can see here there is one main tracheal trunk here, one pair will be on other side, and another pair will be on the sides, that is lateral side. So therefore 6 in number or 3 pairs. So one pair will be running dorsal to the cockroach. One pair of the tracheal trunk will run dorsal to the dorsal of the cockroach. The second pair is going to be present ventral. The second pair is going to be the ventral, and last the third pair is going to be lateral in position. This pair is going to be lateral in position. Then these tracheal trunks, this one, the bigger trachea, you can see the structure. Here what happens is this one, so here this is the spiracle, and these are the muscles associated with the spiracles, and this is the bigger sized tracheal trunk it is. Now what is the components present in the trachea? What is the structure of the trachea? Tracheal structures. So trachea, you can see this is the main trunk. Towards the outer side, there is a syncytial epithelium. And you know, these are the cells. Suppose that this is a trachea. Surrounding it will be the syncytial epithelium. And this epithelium, of course, should have the basement membrane. So since it is a syncytium, we say it is multinucleated. A cell that is multinucleated is called as a syncytial cells. And this is the bigger trunk, tracheal trunk. Okay. So you can see that there is an outer epithelial layer, then followed by a cuticle on inner side. So it means that there is an epithelial layer and a cuticle. This cuticle becomes thickened regularly in the shape of spiral. So it gets thickened, taking a regular pattern, that is the pattern of spiral, like this. These spirally coiled thickenings of cuticle, it is called as tenidium. It's called as tenidium. So therefore, bigger sized trachea have tenidium. Now, what is the function of tenidium is it prevents collapse of the trachea, because trachea is very delicate. When air passes in, it has a tendency to collapse. To keep it to maintain its structure and prevents its collapse, the tenidium is supposed to be there. So therefore, these from here, wherever the tenidium is there, they are called as the trachea. Understand? Tracheal tubes there. Now this trachea will start branching further into smaller sizes, and that is called tracheals. So this is the tracheals. In tracheals, there is no chitinous ring or spiral ring called the cuticle also. So it is absent in the tracheals. They are very fine tubes arising from the main trunk. So spiracle, the tracheal trunk, so tracheals, they do not have a chitinous cuticle. They are fine tubules that arises from the main trunk of trachea. So this is the spiracle, the main trunk of the trachea, further dividing finely into tracheals. Now these are the structures. These are the structures that do not contain the chitinous rings. Okay, but they are very small in size, and they are called as tracheals. Now these tracheals will be in contact with the cells and tissues of the body. So they can be, they are so minute that they can be coming in contact with the cells. Okay, and ultimately the oxygen will be supplied to the various tissues as well as different parts of the body cells and tissues. So if I draw tracheole here, so this is one of the tracheole. This is one of the tracheole. Got? And this tracheole is closed. So it is a closed structure. It is a closed structure having a fluid called tracheolar fluid. So this will have a tracheolar fluid. So the air containing oxygen is going to enter, air containing oxygen is going to enter here in the bigger trunk and then finally go into the tracheole. Then what happens here at this point, there is a fluid that helps in exchange of gases. So here what happens, exchange of O2 and CO2 occurs. Okay, so on what basis? There is a physical phenomena on basis of which the exchange occurs, and that is nothing but a simple diffusion. It occurs through simple diffusion. When a cockroach is resting, the tracheoles will be filled with tracheolar fluid. But when cockroach is active, then what happens is the fluid in the tracheoles will disappear. And now there will be direct exchange of oxygen to that of the cell here. Direct exchange. Understand? So that is what is about the respiratory system of cockroach, where air is directly delivered to the cells through diffusion through a fluid called tracheolar fluid. Okay, so this was about the respiratory system of cockroach. So in which direction, how do they ultimately, the air goes inside is sphericals, and then it will enter into trachea, and then tracheals, to ultimately the body cell, the direction in which the air goes. This is during inspiration, whereas during expiration, the air comes in the reverse direction, that is from the cells through tracheals to trachea and spiracle. And many times this is not only the mode of by which a foul air is removed, the foul air can also be removed through the body wall. Okay, so that is this is all about the respiratory system of cockroach. And the next is circulatory system of cockroach. Circulatory system of cockroach. So this will be circulatory system of cockroach. So what you can see here, cockroach has open type of circulatory system. So first point you should know that cockroach has open type of circulatory system. The circulatory system where the blood flows in spaces called as sinuses, such type of circulatory system is a open type of circulatory system. Okay, but however, the blood vessels are not predominant in cockroach. Okay, so basically the body is having various sinuses and the blood flows through those sinuses. So because blood flows through sinuses, that's why it is called open type of circulatory system. Okay, so components of circulatory system of cockroach. Cockroach circulatory system, it consists of, first one, nothing but, for example, heart, blood, hemocoel, then of course another important contributor for circulation is the aliary muscles. So heart, blood of cockroach, cavities or sinuses of cockroach, and the aliary muscles of the cockroach. So first, I'll be explaining about the, I would rather now explain about the blood of the cockroach. See here, we know that in humans, the blood is involved in transport of oxygen. But in cockroach, the blood is not involved in transport of oxygen. Why? Because the respiratory system directly supplies the oxygen to the cells. So there is no need for blood having the role of transporting of oxygen here. So what is the main function of blood is transport of nutrients rather than transport of oxygen. Why it cannot actually transport the oxygen? It is because the respiratory pigments are absent in the blood of cockroach. So blood of cockroach is colorless. Now colorless blood of the cockroach is called as hemolymph. Now hemolymph can be further composed of, so this hemolymph is further composed of plasma, plus also it consists of hemocytes. So colorless blood of the cockroach is called hemolymph. It has non-cellular portion called the plasma. Non-cellular portion called plasma, and another is the cellular part consists of the nucleated cells called hemocytes, which may in turn have proleukocytes and also phagocytes, and all phagocytic cells and all will be there in hemocytes. So combination of plasma as well as hemocyte. There is no lymph in cockroach because plasma itself acts as a lymph also. Separate fluid is not there because this hemolymph is going to flow through the sinuses. So therefore hemolymph is a combination of plasma as well as hemocytes. Now second point which you should know is the blood do not contain respiratory pigment. We human beings do have what? Hemoglobin, but the cockroach do not have any respiratory pigment. Therefore, blood has no role in transport of oxygen. And therefore, transport of oxygen is solely the function of respiratory system, where oxygen is directly given to the cells through tracheal system. So, colorless blood. The blood is going to flow through sinuses. Flows through the sinuses. So this was about the blood of the cockroach. Next is heart of cockroach. The heart of the cockroach is tubular. Tubular heart is there. That means it runs from this anterior to posterior direction in the form of a tube that has many chambers. So the entire heart of the cockroach will have 13 chambers. These chambers are funnel shaped. The chambers are supposed to be funnel shaped. So here you can see there is a funnel shaped chambers. These are the funnel shaped chambers. 13 chambers are there. So anteriorly, the chamber will give rise to a blood vessel, a larger blood vessel, comparatively larger blood vessel called the anterior aorta. Whereas posterior most chamber is closed. So it's not open here. It's supposed to be closed. It's not open. Okay. So 13 chambers are there. They are supposed to be funnel shaped. Okay. Now, so here it has each chamber will have 2 openings on the lateral side. So this is one opening here, and here will be another opening on the lateral side. And these are called ostia. Whereas there is opening here also, which will lead to the next chamber. Ostia is guarded by a valve They're guarded by valves. Ostia itself is an opening that is associated with valves. Understand? Whereas there is one valve here also, and that is called as ventricular valve. So therefore, a single chamber of the heart of cockroach will have two ostia and one ventricular valve. Ostia itself is guarded by the valve. What is the purpose is they do not allow reverse movement of blood. That is the main function of these valves. So then heart is able to pump the blood from which direction is from posterior to anterior direction. There is no reverse flow because of the functions of various valves at different levels. Understand? So therefore, the blood is pumped from posterior to anterior direction. Understand? So the type of the heart that is present in case of cockroach requires a stimulus from the nervous system, and therefore it is called as neurogenic heart. It's not a myogenic heart. It is not autostimulatory. It does require stimulus from the nervous system. So these are some of the points regarding the type of the heart present in. Okay, out of these, 3 of them will be present in the thoracic region, and remaining 10 are going to be present in the abdominal region here. So 3 here and 10 here. So these are the chambers. Okay, next. Next is the hemocoel, that is the body cavity. So body cavities are also called, as you know that this word seal, it is going to indicate the body cavity or the sinus. Now, there are certain main sinuses or body cavities in the cockroach that take part in the circulating the blood to different parts of the body. So first body cavity will be this one, surrounding the heart. Whatever this portion is there, this cavity, it is surrounding the heart. So it is called as pericardial cavity. So first sinus is called pericardial cavity. The cavity, you can call it as pericardial sinus. Okay. Then next, what you can see here, in between here, you have this another space is there or sinus is there. This is called perivisceral sinus. Then here you have one more sinus here, and that is called perineural sinus. Pericardial sinus, perivisceral sinus, perineural sinus. And at the end, here this is where the head is situated. So sinus is also present in the head. It's called as the head sinus or cephalic sinus. So let me tell, it is a head sinus or cephalic sinus. So these all are the cavities. So blood flows through these cavities. So how do the blood flow is? Blood flow from pericardial sinus. From the pericardial sinus, it is going to so blood flows from pericardial sinus to cephalic sinus and then to perivisceral and perineural sinus. So it is basically moving in a anti-clockwise direction. Okay. So the blood flows from pericardial sinus to head sinus and then to perivisceral and perineural sinus. Okay. So there is a two separations are there. That means so cockroach has two diaphragms. That is called the dorsal diaphragm. It is highly they are porous, and even the ventral diaphragm, even that is porous. So pericardial sinus is separated from perivisceral sinus by the dorsal diaphragm here, whereas perivisceral sinus is separated from perineural sinus by the ventral diaphragm. And this is the cephalic sinus. Okay. So therefore, direction of the blood will be anti-clockwise direction. Then what drives these blood to flow in only this direction? It depends on the pressure changes and the volume changes, which you have studied according to Boyle's law and all in physics. So pressure and volume changes occur. Then what are those structures that will drive the pressure changes and volume changes is the iliary muscles. So iliary muscles, as you can see, they have a pointed end, another is a broader base is there. So the pointed end will be attached to the terga, whereas the broader end of the aliary muscles will be attached to the dorsal diaphragm. So to the dorsal diaphragm, the broader end is attached. This is the attachment of the aliary muscle. There are 12 pairs of aliary muscles. So these 12 pairs of aliary muscles, they contract and cause the change in the volume of these sinuses. As a result, what happens when there is a volume and pressure changes, it drives the fluid in a particular direction. So that was about the aliary muscles. So when aliary muscles contract, the volume of the pericardial sinus, the dorsal diaphragm is going to become more flat. As a result, volume increases, pressure is going to decrease. So fluid flows from visceral sinus to pericardial sinus. And then it goes into the chambers. The blood flows into the chambers of the heart, which is pumped in forward direction, in one direction only. Then this anterior aorta, it exhibits peristalsis. So it will pump that blood finally to the head sinus to continue, so that there is a continuation of this anti-clockwise direction of movement of blood. So this was about aliary muscles. So there are 12 pairs of aliary muscles, whereas there are 13 chambers in the cockroach heart. So this completes even the circulatory system. And now will be the nervous system of So this is a structure of nervous system of cockroach. Cockroach nervous system, what does it consist of as? It consists of a nerve ring. So you can notice the nerve ring here, this portion, and followed by ventral nerve cord. Now this portion, remaining portion, will be the ventral nerve cord. So these are two components of the nervous system of cockroach. So what is a nerve ring is, at the location of where the esophagus is there are some ganglions. There are some ganglions there, 3 pairs, that means 6 ganglions together that are present above the esophagus, and that is called as supraesophageal ganglion. So the supraesophageal ganglion form the brain. So main function of nervous system is coordination of various organs and organ systems within the body. So similarly, there are around again 6 ganglions fused to form subesophageal ganglion, because they are present below the esophagus. So esophagus runs here. So above the esophagus and below the esophagus. So subesophageal ganglion. Now they are connected by connectives, nerve connectives they are called. Okay. What are they called? Nerve connectives. They're called nerve connectives. So you came to know supraesophageal ganglion, subesophageal ganglion, and they are now connected. So passes in between will be the esophagus, creating a nerve ring. Now from this nerve ring arises a nerve cord. This is a nerve ring. From this arises a central ventral nerve cord. Now I told this acts as a brain. So this is going to supply the nerves to the compound eyes as well as antennas and all. And this is the nerve ring. How is the nerve ring? The nerve ring has a specific features which I'll be mentioning now. Nerve ring is ventral in position, as the name indicates. This nerve ring is ventral. As you can see, there are two in number, so double. So nerve cord is ventral and double. And it is not just the nerves, also are present the ganglions. So since ganglions are present, it is called ganglionated. It is a ganglionated nerve cord. And there are pair of ganglion here. So here one, but they are fused. It doesn't appear separate because they are fused. But pair of ganglion will be present. And of course, they are solid. Solid in sense, if there is a cross section of this nerve, they are not hollow. So it's a solid nerve cord. So this is the what you call the components of the main components of the nervous system. Now what is there is, you know that brain is there in the supraesophageal ganglion here, but the entire control of the body does not lie in the brain. It means that the control is also distributed to these ganglions. So as a result, we say it is decentralization of the control processes. Decentralization means the control is not just the brain. Human beings have centralized nervous system. So most of the control is in the brain. But here, only a portion of the nervous system is controlled in the brain. Remaining, they can do independent functioning without the nerves can independently function, carry out the function here. That means control process is not centralized, but instead it is decentralized. Means even these ganglions does the control process. As a result, if the cockroach head is cut, but still it can survive for a good number of days. That is, it can survive for up till 1 week without dying. So it doesn't die when the head is cut off because of this decentralization of what? Control process. That means rest part also can function. Okay. That means that the rest part of the nervous system can control the body parts functioning. That is control what you call the body functioning. Understand? Whereas if suppose all the control process of cockroach, suppose there is a condition that all the controls are lying in brain, then if the cockroach head is cut off in that case, then it could not survive. Okay, then it could not have survived. Because of this decentralization of control process, the cockroach survives even after beheading it. Now, the number of ganglions. So total 6 ganglions are present in the nerve cord. In nerve cord, total 3 ganglions are present in thoracic region. Whereas 6 ganglions will be present in the abdominal region. So those ganglions that are present in the head, they supply their nerves to compound eyes antenna, and whereas subesophageal ganglion will supply to the maxilla, labrum, mandibles and all. And these segmental ganglion, it is called. These segmental ganglion is supplied to their respective segments. Okay. But whereas little bit changes there, that means the nerves from metathoracic segment can come to the first segment of the abdomen. First segment can supply to the second segment supplies to third segment, and so on. So it means that segmental ganglion will supply the nerves and control various processes in the various control processes. Okay, various control processes continue here due to these ganglions in the nerve cord. Okay, so here 6 ganglions are there. So first ganglion is present in the first segment. Let me tell it like that. First ganglion is present in the first segment. The second ganglion is present in the, second segment. The third ganglion is present in the third segment. The fourth ganglion is present in the fourth segment, but there is no ganglion in the fifth segment. It means that fifth ganglion is going to be present in the sixth segment, and the sixth ganglion is going to be present in the seventh segment. By seeing to this, you should know that there is no ganglion in fifth segment. Fifth segment. Most of the ganglions are paired, but the sixth one is very large ganglion. It's a combination of more than 2 ganglions, many ganglions, and it is large, supplying the nerves to the posterior part of the body of cockroach. Okay, so you should know that there is no ganglion in the fifth segment. Okay, so this is about the various ganglions and the nerve cord, which is ventral in position. Got? Now, sensory structures. Sensory structures in cockroach include antenna, it includes compound eyes, then even ocelli, simple eye, then labrum, mouth parts, some of the mouth parts like labrum, maxillae, and labium. These all are sensory in function. So example, labrum, parts of maxillae, labium are some of the sensory structures. Posteriorly, even anal circle is sensory in structure. So these are some of the sensory structures present in cockroach. So out of that, I'll be explaining about the compound eyes of the cockroach. So compound eye of cockroach is kidney shaped. So where it is located is at the dorsal part of the head near to the lateral side. So dorsolateral position, that is the location of the compound eye. So eye of arthropods are usually called compound eye. So this cockroach is an insect, so it also has a compound eye. So dorsolateral in position. Dorsolateral of what? Dorsolateral position in the head region. And it is more or less kidney shaped. And the compound eye have many visual units, which are also called structural and functional units, called ommatidia. So image is possible due to ommatidia because each individual image can be formed by a single ommatidium. Then individual image of a single ommatidium is combined with the image of other ommatidia, and finally a complete image is formed, and such type of an image is called mosaic image. There are 2000 of ommatidia. So ommatidia are 2000 in number, and they are hexagonal in shape. They are hexagonal in shape and 2000 in number. So dorsolateral in position, they are kidney shaped. Okay, what means what here? They are kidney shaped. Rather, you take it here. They are the vision units present in the compound eye is ommatidia, and they are responsible for mosaic image. Okay, so you all should know that cockroach is a nocturnal animal. Okay, first mosaic image definition I told. Small portion of image is formed from one ommatidia, and all the images of all the ommatidia combines and forms a complete image. See, cockroach is nocturnal animal. Okay, when it is nocturnal, it is active in the night. So the eye of cockroach is good for night vision. Night vision. And the compound eye of cockroach is highly sensitive to light. Highly sensitive to light, we mean that even though a little amount of light is there, it can easily detect. But the image formed is not clear. Therefore, we say that the resolution of the image is very low. So it is nocturnal. The compound eye is functional in the nocturnal cockroach. It gives a night vision. It is highly sensitive to light, means even a small amount of light is there, it can detect it very quickly. So, but the image formed is not clear. It is a blur image. Okay. Is not clear. Is not clear. Understand? So we say that image formed is of low resolution. Image formed is of low resolution. Because of overlapping. Such type of image is also called superposition image, and because it is of low resolution, the image will be blurred. It's not clear, but it can detect light very easily. Even the minute amount of light or very low intensity of light also it can easily detect. So that is the about the compound eyes. So in brief to tell, there is a nerve ring which consists of a brain, that is supraesophageal ganglion, followed by nerve cord which is ganglionated solid, and there is a decentralized nervous system where there is a decentralization of control process. As a result, beheading a cockroach can still beheading a cockroach will not make it to die immediately. It can survive for a week because of this property. And sense organs like compound eyes, they're responsible for mosaic image, but however, image formed is not clear and it is sensitive to light. So I'll continue with other systems in the next class.